We're used to seeing boats on the water and seeing that top side above the waterline, but what lurks beneath the waves there? This is really interesting. I find it really interesting anyway. And what are we looking at? What do things do? All that sort of good stuff. What's the profile underneath? So morning, I'm Dan Fielding from Turn to Starboard, and you can see we're in a boatyard this morning. We've just lifted our boats out, so we've got Firebird and Angel's Share. We're up super early to get the high tide this morning. So we've got to have a look at Firebird, okay? So if we see on Firebird, we've got to start at the beginning. Under here, we've got where our transducer comes out. So it sends signals out, bounces off the seabed, comes back, gives us a readout, lets us know how deep the water is that we've got underneath. We need to make sure that that's not being smashed up, being hit by anything, and give it a good check. You can have anti-foul over it, it's absolutely fine, but you don't want loads and loads of layers of paint on there, okay? Just behind it now, you'll see this little wheel. You see it spinning? So this is our little paddle wheel that gives us our log readout, okay? So it's speed through water, how much water is going past us. So even anchor will get a speed. We might be still, but the water might be spinning that, and that'll give us our current as well in that spot. So we need to make sure that's clear, it's not damaged. We can check them from inside the boat when we're on the water, and that'll be another video at some point. But while we're here, we'll have a look, all right, that we haven't damaged it by when we're lifting it out. Keel now. Now, there's another video, you'll be able to see that somewhere on YouTube very soon, but about keel types. But what we are checking now here under the water is for this keel, it bolts on, and we're checking around this seam, making sure there's no ingress, there's no damage, it's not parting, all this sealant is all on, it's not rusting, and we're having a good visual check it for cracks, any damages, all right? So that's what we're doing, is having a good look under here. You'll see here where the anti-foul is, you can see where some's knocked off, so we'll have to fare that in and get some more anti-foul on. The guys will be on that all this week, because it doesn't slow down for us in the winter. It actually ramps up a little bit with all this maintenance in order to get you lot out on the water as much as we can from January right till the middle of December. Okay, what else are we looking for? So under here, have a look under here, we can see some holes. We don't like holes in boats, but we have to have holes in boats. These are where we drain things out of, like our sinks, our heads. This is our heads outlet over here. Okay, so these are our through hull fittings. We need to make sure that they're all absolutely fine. We've got a little anode around this one as well, and we'll talk about anodes in a second. But we need to make sure that these are all fitted, they're all good, because they need to be sealed and secure. So back here, this is another through hull fitting, but you'll see it's got little vents on here, right? Okay, it's like a little strainer. So this is actually engine water intake. So it sucks water out of the sea to go around the engine and cool, and then come back out of our exhaust. So we need to make sure that that's not all blocked up and it's free, because the engine does need water, otherwise it'll overheat, and we don't like that. Back here now, so we've got our prop. So she's prop driven, okay? So there's prop shaft coming from the back of the engine and through here. You'll see how we've got a little bit of growth on here. We'll be sanding these off and getting all this scraped down. We've got to check is where it comes out that we've got no fractures or anything like that, because it does happen around here. You can get clogged up and it can break a few bits around here. That's good. This next bit here, this is known as a P bracket, okay? So as in the letter P. And here it's got a little bearing. What we've got to do is we'll check the bearing, make sure that it's going right, it hasn't got any play in it, and it looks all good. If not, what we'll do is we'll take the back off, knock this out, put another bearing in, and then it should be good. But this seems good for another year at least anyway. So you see here now, this is the prop. Now this is a folding prop, it's a bit different to the others. I'll show you on Angels when we go over there, that's a little bit different and a bit of a different setup. But we've got an anode on here. So what an anode is a sacrificial bit of metal basically, and it's low down in what they call the nobility of metals. Sat in salt water in a marina, basically you're sat in a battery, and it'll start corroding all your metal work, so your prop shafts, your prop, P brackets, all that sort of stuff. So what we do is we offer the battery to corrode this out, and this will be sacrificial, so that'll go well before it starts eating into our metal work. And on anodes, we'll have a look at another one here. You can see how efficient they are and how good they are. Is that when we're sat in the marina, like in that big batch, like I said, this was a big piece, okay, and it's slowly being eroded and eaten down. Now this we definitely need to change this year. This one we've got to change this year, okay. So anodes are a really big thing to inspect, and make sure you put one on, don't scrimp on them. For your sharp-eyed people out there, you'll see that what we've got on here is a bit of a different prop to what you normally see. This is a 3-blade folding prop, okay. So what happens is when we put our engine on and going forward, the prop starts turning and it flicks out these propellers and drives us through the water. And equally, when we put it in reverse, it spins the prop the other way. These close and they open in the other configuration to go backwards, okay, and really cuts through there. So when we're sailing and we stop, these fall back and create very little drag, all right. So a lot of racing boats have them. This boat did used to race quite a bit, and a lot of long cruisers have them because they don't want any of that drag when they're going over long distance, because half a knot means a lot over 2,000 miles, all right. So a nice falling prop. Pros to them are that, but the cons are that if they get gummed up and they don't open enough, you're only driving on a part shaft, okay. So you do have to maintain this really well, grease them, and just be really careful that you're not in an area where you're getting them all gunked up. Otherwise, you've got your goggles on, you're going underneath, and you're trying to get all the mussels and the whelks and the seaweed out of it, okay. So we'll make sure that this is in superb order when it gets back in. Okay, so here we are on Angel's share now. She's just been cleaned down, so she's nice and smooth, ready for a patch up anti-foul. But we've just got to show you the differences between her and Firebird under the water. Angel's 47 feet, so she's a lot longer. So what's fitted on her is a bow thruster. It helps us maneuver around close quarters in marinas. They are what's known in the trade as cheating, but when you've got big boats in small places, you definitely rely on these sometimes, all right. So we've got a bow thruster on here. We don't necessarily let you use them all the time though, because you've got to practice without them. Okay, so like on Firebird, we've got our transducer here coming through, so we check that, that's all good. And then we've got our log, a little spinning wheel, just like we've got on Firebird. They're looking really good. What we have to be careful of when we're lifting here, you can see this lifting strop here, is that we've got marks on the side that what we do is we make sure that they're not going to sit on these and potentially break them. So the guys that are lifting them out really have a look out for that. So just check these, especially if a strop's been put on them, pushes those and breaks them, all right. Same again with her keel, so she's got a bit of a different keel to Firebird. She's still a fin keel, but it's a bit shorter, as you can see. She's a bit shallower draft, but it's still a fin. We have to check all through here, the seals and all the bits. So she's all looking good. As you can see, some patches here, but we've got to give her a full anti-foul anyway, and we'll probably put some pictures on at some point when she's finished. But we've got this bit of a swept backness on her keel. And when you see from the front on or the rear profile, she's a bit bulbous at the bottom here, so she's like a semi-bulb fin keel. All right. Moving back, we're looking. Well, over here, we'll look here. We've got, this is now a sail drive. So if you remember on Firebird, she had a prop coming out. Now, if you can imagine an outboard motor, basically a sail drive is like that, but through the hull. So this leg sits right on top of her engine and comes out here. All right, so it's just like she's got the intakes here for the water, for the engine to take the intake, so we've got to make sure that they're not blocked and cruddied up. And sometimes if your water stops coming out of your exhaust, what can happen is kelp or a plastic bag gets caught over here and stops the water coming in. So doing a 360 sometimes changes that, or you might have to get in your swimming trunks, get a mask on and get under there and peel it off, okay? So that can sometimes happen if your water's not flowing. On Firebird, we had a folding prop, if you remember. This is a fixed blade prop, okay? So this just turns it, it's fixed, it doesn't fold anywhere, it doesn't get out of the way, so that's how it sits even when we're sailing, which does create a little bit of drag, but when we click our engine into reverse and stop this spinning round, it creates less drag than when a prop is spinning. It's funny, but it actually works that way. On the back of here now, I've got to get Chris to zoom in, just down here near my fingers. I've got to be careful because we've got a rope cutter on here. So as this spins round, if any rope or anything gets caught round our leg or our prop, it actually cuts it. They're a real good thing to have because a prop wrap is an absolute nightmare. It doesn't negate everything, but it helps, especially around here. A little fishing line that's all over, nets that are all over. So we've got to be careful of these. Now, we spoke about anodes. We saw them on Firebird. They're a little bit different here. So we've got one on the leg here. And remember, these anodes are sacrificial because this is an aluminium leg and this will get eaten up really, really quickly if you don't have a sacrificial anode on. So they're really, really, really important when you've got an aluminium leg coming out of there. And then we've got another anode here as well in close proximity. This one, you can see it's been eaten away. We'll be changing that for a nice bigger one. But everything's looking good underneath here. We've checked our through hull fittings and had a look at the other end of our seacocks, because we check our seacocks inside, and all these are looking all nice. No cracks on them, no smashes. So all looking good so far for Angel's share, and we'll give her a paint up and get her ready to go back in the water. So there we are, that's what the boats look like underneath the water. I know we don't often get to see it, but if you can get down your local boatyard and ask, definitely ask permission first. If you can have a little look around in the marinas, there's some really interesting underwater line profiles, and it really educates you. So from us at the boatyard, we've got to get working on these now, and we'll see you later.